Hey everyone, welcome to Life Coach University and the wonderful world of Pay It Forward talks, conferences, and courses. Today I am doing a talk on relationship recovery. And if you are inspired by this, if you get a lot of value from it, please use that to pay the kindness forward out in the world and do something really nice for someone else. And then if you want, you can share that story with us by emailing us at hello@lifecoachuniversity.com. My name is Chris Weals. I am a relationship coach for men. And this whole month, I'm talking about relationship recovery. And what I mean by that is if you're in a relationship where there's an excessive amount of fighting or avoidance, maybe the relationship isn't where it once was or where you would like it to be. We're talking about things that you can do to get from that state in the relationship to a very healthy and joyful place by taking full responsibility without putting it on your partner, without blaming, without making excuses, without complaining. So we're taking it upon ourselves to take the lead in creating the wonderful relationships that we desire, that our partners desire, that we want to have. And so all this last week, I had been talking about self-awareness, and that's really the first step. And now we're getting into self-management. How do we take that awareness to the next level and put it into practice? And this is day 7 of relationship recovery. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type those in the Q&A section. There's a little button for that. And then when I'm done talking, I will get to those questions and answer all of those before we log off. I just want to do a quick recap. Yesterday, I was talking about be, do, and have, and setting your intentions, getting really clear on your values, knowing what your purpose is and your vision. So having an awareness of these things really helps make it clear who you are, what you want to do, what you want to have, and it starts with who you are being. It starts with that the mindset and attitude, and from there, it's much easier to create what you actually desire in your relationship and in your life. And so I'm going to dive a little bit more into that. Today, we are focusing on choosing your attitude and how you can do this on a consistent basis from day to day, because this is something that does take daily practice. It takes daily effort, daily work. It's not something that you can just decide one day that I want to have an attitude of gratitude, or I want to be optimistic and positive, and then boom, just like that, that's how you are for the rest of your life. It takes a dedicated practice, really. And so first, you do have to decide, like, who do I want to be in my relationship to create the relationship that I want. Like, who do I need to be, and what do I need to do? And then, when you wake up in the morning, you have to choose your attitude. You have to choose your intentions over again. So you got clear on what you want them to be, but you have to wake up and choose that. You have to tell yourself, today I am going to be grateful. I am going to be upbeat. I am going to be helpful. I'm going to be kind, patient, generous, like all the things that you decided that you actually want to be. Then, like, wake up every day and choose that. And you could actually focus on one thing at a time, just to make it helpful to get used to the practice. At first, you can set an intention and you can say, okay, for the next hour, no matter what goes on around me, this is my intention. This is how I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up as a very happy person for the next hour. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to act like a happy person, no matter what happens, right? So you can do that just as a practice, and then just start incorporating all of your intentions into your daily routine. And so the way you do this is by you pay attention. You have to start really paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, and notice when they aren't in alignment with your decisions that you've made about who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to create. And when they aren't in alignment, then it takes a conscious choice. You have to actually choose again. And this is something that I think many of us don't realize we have the power to do. We think, well, we're just overcome with, this feeling of anxiety or depression or anger, and I'm just the victim of that. But you can learn to catch that, kind of work your way through that, and ultimately choose again. You can choose a different way of being, and it's a simple concept, but it's definitely it's not easy. It does take constant monitoring and shifting, kind of like an airplane, a commercial airline. They're constantly making adjustments because of wind, so that they arrive at the destination that they intend to arrive at. And so that's what's going on with our minds too, is that our brain is just constantly going back to survival mode, to saboteur way of thinking, and we have to monitor that and then make these adjustments. And like I said, it's not an easy thing to do moment by moment, on a consistent basis, but it's been my experience that it is so worth it to do that. It's worth the effort. It's worth the slow growth, sometimes the frustration that I still experience. Why aren't I perfect yet? Right? It's worth going through all of that to make these shifts, to have this type of growth, and to start to create the relationship and the really the whole life that I really desire. So I really want to get into tools and practices that we can use to make this happen, because it's one thing to know it conceptually. That's great. That's the starting point, but then you really have to put it into practice. It has to become a new way of being, a habit for you. It's the same thing. This is all mental fitness that I'm talking about here, and it's the exact same thing as physical fitness. It's not enough to know how to be in good shape. You actually have to do the work every day, or you're going to fall back out of shape. It's the same thing with your brain. You have to do the work on a daily basis to keep yourself mentally fit, so that you can continue to show up and create the life that you actually want to have. And so to think about it that way is helpful for me. And then to actually have the right tools and know how to put them into practice, that really makes all the difference. So one tool that we all have available to us that I personally love, and I did a conference on this recently, is meditation. So having a daily meditation practice really helps us to learn to focus and to be aware of our thoughts, and to start to shift more into gratitude and just more intentional ways of being. However, I've found for me that meditation is wonderful. It really gets me like feeling connected to the universe and to other human beings, to God, and it helps me to feel really great. But it doesn't tend to stick with me throughout the day. And so, in those moments where I'm really challenged, say, somebody says something, my partner says something to me, um, and then my saboteurs wake up and come into play. In those moments, I have to do something also. It's not enough to just have my meditation from the morning carry over and just automatically get me through those moments. I have to remember to catch myself. And so the meditation helps with that, because it helps us develop that ability to be aware of our thoughts. But I have to make an effort in that moment to catch myself and call out the saboteur. So it's really helpful to know those sabotaging thoughts, to recognize them for what they are, and then to be able to call them out and label them. Oh, that's my saboteur, that's my judge, whatever you want to call it. You can give it a name, whatever you want, but just to call it out. And then I use a meditative mechanism to reset, or to snap myself out of it. And one thing that I really like that calms me down very quickly is to take a deep breath in through my nose, expand my belly on the inhale, and then release that slowly. And exhaling through my mouth tends to relax me even more. I think there is some science behind that. Exhaling slowly through your mouth sends a signal to your brain that everything's okay. And also just breathing slower and deeper does the same thing. So for me, that works well. For others, it doesn't. That actually increases their stress. And so you can do something so simple as to just take your index finger and your thumb, rub those together, and really pay attention to how that feels. You can feel your fingerprints, you can feel the ridges, you can feel the textures, the temperature, and that brings you back to the present moment. And that could be enough. And you could do, this is something you could do in a meeting. You could do this in a conversation, even a heated conversation with your spouse, because you could do this in your pocket, like behind your back. You can do that where they don't notice. Like, if you just have your hands, down low out of their line of sight, then you can do that and bring yourself back to the moment without them know what you're doing. Like me taking a big deep breath slowly and exhaling slowly, that's very noticeable, and that's sending a signal to my partner that I'm not okay, that I'm stressed out, and that stresses her out. And so I have to sometimes in those moments do something else to hit that reset button for me. And so this works really well. Just rub my fingers together, feel that. And that, what that does is just, okay, that brings me back. All right, now I've caught the saboteurs. I'm back to the present moment. And now what I do is I call forth that memory of the intentions that I set, my purpose, my values, all of that. Like, okay, what do I actually want? And then I remember the sage perspective. Every moment can be a gift and an opportunity if I choose for it to be. So what's the opportunity here? What's the gift? Then you tap into one of those sage powers that I mentioned yesterday about, or 2 days ago, anyways, about the like empathy and innovation and exploration and navigation and activation. So, all right, what power can I use here? And I think most of the time it's going to be empathy. Depending, I mean, because I'm talking about relationships here, and relationships that are challenged and are, we're trying to get back to recovery mode. And so I think what goes on is we get triggered, we go into fight or flight mode based on something that our spouse is saying or doing, and then we get really defensive, and we are blaming and complaining and putting that on them. But if we used the power of empathy instead, then we can focus a little bit on them and go, all right, hey, what's going on with them? Why might they be acting that way? And what can I do to help? And so for me, these are tools that I have that I use, and not perfectly, but these are things that I use to help me catch myself and then shift. So it's a constant monitoring, like I said, and then always shifting, always adjusting to stay on course. So these are those tools that I have. They steer my mental ship, right? In the face of like the storm of negative thoughts and feelings that are like constantly blowing me off course. So this is something that is like, get used to this just being a lifelong practice, and know that it's about progress, it's about the journey, it's about growth. And you're a human, and so you'll probably never get to that place of perfection, because we're here to grow. And so that is what I have for you today. I do hope that was helpful for you. And it looks like I have a question, so I'm going to go to the Q&A. Okay, I know someone who is super optimistic all the time. There comes a point where I start getting annoyed at her. Then I get upset at myself. But isn't it fake to be so optimistic all the time? Well, it doesn't have to be fake. No, this could be someone who is just making that choice. And it doesn't mean that bad stuff doesn't happen to her. It doesn't mean that she's faking it, though. I mean, it could just be that she is a person who is making the conscious choice to be optimistic, to see the gift and the opportunity in every moment. And wouldn't that be a wonderful place to be? Instead of getting annoyed at her and then upset at yourself, what if you got to that point where you were able to choose to see that moment as a gift and an opportunity? What if you seeing her as optimistic is an opportunity for you to develop that within yourself? Maybe you can get curious about that. You can ask questions. Hey, how do you maintain this level of optimism? I'm a little envious right now because I'm not able to get there myself. Maybe even just be completely honest and say, yeah, like sometimes I even get annoyed. I hate to admit it, but I get annoyed because I think, how can anyone be this optimistic all the time? If you're comfortable doing that, I think that level of honesty, if you're coming from a place of sincerity and you're being light about it, and you really want to grow, I think that just, that vulnerability helps you connect with other humans. People love vulnerability. It really helps them to feel like they can trust you and connect with you. And so I say, get curious about that. Start asking her questions, and you see that as a gift and an opportunity for you to develop that within yourself. And I'm not saying you have to get to a place where you are just, everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time, but it's more about just, all right, this is the reality of the situation. Now, where do I want it to go from here? Yeah, so it's about being like making choices, conscious choices about what you want to have, what you want to do, who you want to be, how do you want to experience life given every situation, every moment? Like, okay, yeah, this thing is happening, and I don't love this, so how do I create what I do love? All right. All right, so the next one is, I watched your conference on meditation. You talked about meditation while arguing with your partner. I tried this the next time we argued. It didn't work for me. Can you talk more about how to do this? Yeah, absolutely. So it was what I was talking about earlier in this session. And really, it's just being completely in the moment. So what happens when we're arguing, typically, it's like we go into that saboteur mode or ego mode or fight or flight, if you will, whatever term works for you, but we're no longer present. We're not operating from the front of our mind where we're rational and think, like we're not thinking clearly, we're not calm. We're now in the back of the head. That's the survival region. That's, there's like chemicals being produced. Blood is flowing to your extremities now to your arms and your legs. And this is you're in survival mode. Now, that's great if you're being chased by a bear, because that's going to help you get out of that immediate danger. But this is happening to us in moments where it's not helpful for that to be happening. Our brains are confused. They think, well, this is an attack and I need to go into survival mode to survive this, but we don't. It's actually making it worse. So that's why we need to bring conscious awareness to the situation, and we need to choose our response instead of just letting our survival brain react emotionally, because that just, you probably know this from experience, this just makes things worse, right? If you want to keep fighting, then keep doing that. If you want to stop fighting, if you want to create new experiences, if you want to have a healthy relationship where you have really strong communication and a strong connection and you're growing together and you're actually enjoying it, then you have to bring that conscious awareness to those moments. And so when I was saying you can meditate while in an argument, it's you can do things to bring yourself back to the present moment. So you might be feeling triggered, you might be going into that egoic mode, the fight or flight. Right, what you could do is you can focus on your partner's face. You can really listen to the sound of their voice. You can rub your fingers together. You could do something like that. You can just really, really listen to what they're saying without forming judgments, without just waiting for your turn to talk. You can remember, okay, I want to be generous with them. I want to hear them out. I want to be helpful. I want to be compassionate. So let me just shift out of this mode. Let me really be here right now with them and for them. And you can do that, like I said, by just the tools that you have available to you to bring yourself back, is what I was talking about by meditation. It's the really paying attention to sights, sounds, sensations, so that you're here now instead of in your head thinking about your response or about, how they always do this. They're always making this mistake or hurting me in this way. Now you're not present. You're in your head. So you want to get out of your head. So you want to focus on something that's right here, right now. So it could be a feeling in your body. It could be the sound of their voice, like I said, and that's what's going to bring you back. And then you have to make conscious choices about, all right, how do I actually want to show up now? What do I need to do to help de-escalate this emotional situation? And usually that's with compassionate listening, like letting them know. Maybe you can apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. I got a little overwhelmed right there with emotion. I kind of, went into my survival brain, but I'm coming back now. And I want to focus on solving this issue, coming to a resolution. I want us to be on the same side. I want to work through this with you. And then you have to have a ton of patience, because most of the time they're not going to just snap right back with you. They're probably triggered too. They're in fight or flight, and it's not easy to just snap out of that, because there's chemicals in play. That you're there because your brain started producing adrenaline and other chemicals to help you run or fight. And so it takes a moment for those to flush through your system. And so you just focus on staying there yourself, and be really patient with them as you help them come back, and you help them just by being there yourself. It's about creating that space, that energy, and when they feel that you're there, then they're gonna just naturally come down themselves. They're going to pick up on that and start to come down. But you have to stay there. You can't let them staying in that triggered space bring you back to that. So really, it takes an effort, but it's very doable. And I have firsthand experience with all of this. And I know that it's not easy. And I know I don't always do it perfectly. And so then I have to be patient with myself. I have to be compassionate with myself and know that, hey, I'm not going to get it perfectly right every time. I'm still growing. And so, it'll be the same for you. But I think you can notice as you do this, how it really winds up being very helpful. And then, when you have some success with it, you're going to want to keep returning to that. It really has made such an amazing difference in my relationship. And like I said, I don't get it right every time, but overall, the quality of our relationship, the quality of our disagreements, and like all of our interactions is just continuing to go up. And and I was somebody who was very emotional. I would get triggered very easily, and we fight a lot because of that. And so if that's where you are, I get it. Okay, next question. I recently met a wonderful man. His youngest daughter doesn't get along with me. I'm trying really hard to get in with her. I tell myself to accept it and be patient, but I'm worried that he will end the relationship with me. Yeah, I get that. That could be a really difficult situation. I know when I was young, my parents divorced and my mom started dating. I did not get along with, they ultimately married, and then we finally did get along, but it was a tough situation for a very long time. So this is something that, this is one of those difficult situations, and you can't control her, you can't control this man. All you can do is set your intentions, and you can show up the way that you intend to show up. You can you can be honest, you can be vulnerable, you can do what you can to be the best version of you that you can be, and then know that you're okay whatever happens. If it doesn't work out, know that, okay, there's something else out there. There's something better for me out there, even though, yep, this is a wonderful man, and that's great. I say, if it doesn't work, again, return to that sage perspective. What's the gift and opportunity here for me? What can I do now? Like, where do I go from here? But all you can do is continue to work on yourself, bring awareness to yourself, choose those positive intentions, and continue to choose those, continue to shift from saboteur to sage mode, or to being present, being that loving, kind person. That's all you can do. You can't make other people like you. And so don't try. Don't try to make people like you. Just try to be the best version of yourself for you. Really, that's all you can do. All right, the next one. I'm in a long distance relationship. We see each other every 3 months. When he visits me, he knows all my friends and family. When I visit him, he plans a trip away for us. I've asked to meet his friends and family. I want to trust, but something feels a bit odd that I've not met anyone. Right? Okay, well, this is something that, you can have this might be a difficult conversation, but again, we need to have difficult conversations to have an easy relationship or to have an easy life. We have to be able to be honest with people, be vulnerable, and try your best to stay present while doing it, to not let your emotions override your brain and take control, because then that's when these conversations turn south and they don't go the way we want them to, because now we're in defense mode. We feel like they don't get it, they're not listening, and so we have to be very calm, very patient, very generous by listening to them, creating a safe space for them to talk. And then you have to decide. You just have to decide. If you have a conversation with them, and after that you still feel like you can't trust this person, you have to decide what that means for you. No one else can ever tell you, well, you need to leave that person, or you need to do this or need to do that. You just have to trust yourself, and we all have to do that. That's all we really can do. We can use, tools and concepts and guidance from other people, but really we have to do what's best for us always, and know that's what's also best for other people. And so go with your instincts, go with your intuition, go with your own values and intentions, and know your purpose and your worth and all of that. And so, so if you think you can trust him, awesome, then, keep moving forward and make the best of it. And if you think that you can't, then I would say, you have some decisions to make there. And you can. I know that sometimes making these decisions is incredibly difficult. And I think sometimes we try to overthink them and use our analytical minds to work through these decisions, but these are relationships. These are emotional decisions. These are decisions of the heart, not necessarily the brain. And so we have to learn to trust our own feelings and know that, like, we might get it wrong or right, but really there isn't a right or wrong thing. We just have to try to do what's best for us, the best that we can. Okay, next one. I lost my husband 2 years ago. I can't believe that I am a widow. I'm only 34 years old. Last weekend, I met someone and for the first time felt attraction. It's hard for me to know what to do with this new feeling. Well, first, I'm very sorry about your loss. That's the toughest thing that we can go through as humans, is to lose a loved one like that. So my condolences to you. And it takes time to heal, to recover, to get back out into the world like this. You're doing that, so you are healing, you're growing, and it might be difficult. And so the best thing I think that you can do is just be aware of what you're feeling, and then allow those feelings to be there. Try not to resist any of the feelings that are coming up. Like, yeah, it might feel difficult to be feeling this way about another person. And so allow that, sit with the feeling, but don't necessarily let the feelings run the show for you. Use them as a guide, as a tool. And if grief is an incredibly powerful feeling, and sometimes we take that grief and we turn that into something that lets us, like, that just ruins us. But one thing that helps with all of feelings, especially painful feelings, is to focus on the actual sensation. What does this actually feel like? And instead of, like, running with the thoughts of why am I feeling like this? Oh, it's, we just go down this path of negativity, and then, like, that's our focus. But instead we could just say, okay, well, what does this actually feel like? And then we can start bringing in some positive feelings. And I mean, like, I kind of went off on a tangent on grief, but and that's not what you're talking about here. But really, it's like, I think part of it too is, like, you have to allow yourself to feel these feelings towards someone new. You're a human, you're young, you have a lot of life left to live. What do you want that life to be like? How do you want to experience the rest of your days? Do you want to be in another relationship? Do you want to have those experiences again? And know that it's okay to. Relationships are our greatest gift, especially close personal relationships. They are wonderful. I would hate to see anyone deny themselves that experience out of guilt, thinking that it's too soon, or I'm betraying someone. I don't see it that way. I think, and you have a choice of how you see it. You have a choice of of what to do from this moment forward. What are the experiences that you desire? What do you want for yourself? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And go from there. And really just whatever you're feeling, allow it. All right, next one. I found out that my partner went to a dance and made out with someone else. I'm devastated. I feel so stupid. I actually encouraged them to go to the dance because they seemed so stressed from work. They said that it didn't mean anything. Well, first, I want to, again, I'm sorry that happened. That is a difficult thing to go through. But notice some of the language that you're using here. I'm devastated. I feel so stupid. These aren't facts. Like these aren't feelings that you have to entertain or thoughts that you have to entertain. You don't have to believe these things about yourself. And so first, I want to encourage you to be compassionate and empathetic with yourself. Of course, you didn't know this was happening. No reasonable person would have known that was going to happen. So, I wouldn't blame myself for that. I understand the inclination to do that, but this is something you didn't do this. So I hope that you can be understanding and forgiving for yourself. And then, this is like, I would choose immediately to forgive them as well. That doesn't mean you continue on with them necessarily, but forgiveness is something that's for the forgiver, not the person on the other end necessarily. And if you're hanging on to any hard feelings and you're not forgiving someone, then you're destroying yourself, basically. And so the sooner you can get to forgiveness, the better. I know it's not easy, but have the conversation with them, share your honest feelings and thoughts about it. And then also we have to make our own decisions about what we want in life. If this crossed a boundary for you, and it's a boundary that you decide, like, this is something that I absolutely will not go through. I'm not going to put myself in these situations with anyone. Then you have to decide what to do about that. Other people won't honor your boundaries always, because they're your boundaries, and so you really have to decide what to do about this. So I say, if you decide that you can't trust this person anymore, then you decide to move on and do that as lovingly and as kindly as possible, and forgive them completely and just move on. Or you decide to stay and you do that as lovingly and as kindly, and you fully forgive them and all of that as you can, and you put that in the past. If you hang on to that and stay in the relationship, that's not going to work out well. So you either forgive and you go your separate ways, or you forgive completely and you stay together. That's something that no one else can tell you. No one else can tell you what to do here. And so this is, we have to learn to make these decisions for ourselves, as difficult as these decisions can be, as confusing as it can be. No one else can make these choices for us. And that's why everything I was talking about this past week is so important. It's so important to have awareness of our own values, our own intentions, our own purpose. What matters to me? What are my boundaries? What things am I willing to put up with? What things am I not? What situations am I willing to put myself in? Which situations am I not? What am I trying to create in this relationship? What am I trying to create in my life? And then what how do I create that? How do I show up every day? Who do I want to be in relation to all these different things that are happening around me? So again, this is, I know this is kind of a tough love approach, but it's the way to really take charge of our own lives and create the experiences and the results that we really would like to have. So thank you so much. Those are tough questions and really good questions. I really sincerely hope that my answers were helpful. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am Chris Weals. I'm a relationship coach. You can find me on LinkedIn. My last name is spelled Weals. Thank you for joining me here at Life Coach University and the wonderful world of PIF Talks. Please go to lifecoachuniversity.com to check out all of the upcoming conferences and talks. And we even have our first course that's beginning June 20th with Heather Flake. It's a course, it's a 5-day course on relationships. The fee for that is $20. And half of that goes to a charity in the Phoenix, Arizona area that supports women. And so it's an awesome cause, and you're going to get so much value out of that from Heather. I've worked with her in the past, and she is incredible. So I strongly encourage you to sign up for that. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you tomorrow.